Okay. Somebody's coming down.
Card ഉണ്ടോ അവരുടെ? ഇപ്പൊ പോയോ? 7th floor പോയോ? സ്ട്രീം സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. ലൈവ് സ്ട്രീം സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. അത് എൻ്റെ പേഴ്സണൽ അക്കൗണ്ട് ആണ്. ബട്ട് ഞാൻ ഉദ്ദേശിച്ചത് ചിലപ്പോൾ അതിനകത്ത് ജിറ്റ്സി എന്ന സോഫ്റ്റ്വെയർ ഉണ്ട്, വീഡിയോ കോൾ സ്ട്രീം. ഇതിൽ ലൈവ് സ്ട്രീം സപ്പോർട്ടഡ് ആണ്. അപ്പോൾ അവിടെ നിന്ന് ജിറ്റ്സി ജോയിൻ ചെയ്താൽ സ്പീക്കറിന് കമ്പ്യൂട്ടറിന് ജിറ്റ്സി ലിങ്കിൽ പോയാൽ ജോയിൻ ആവും. അപ്പോൾ എനിക്ക് ഇവിടുന്ന് ക്യാമറ കൺട്രോൾ ഉണ്ട്. സോ ഞാൻ ഇവിടെ എങ്ങനെ സ്ക്രീൻ കാണുന്നതായിരിക്കും ലൈവ് സ്ട്രീം തരും. ഓക്കെ.
I control this. ഇതൊന്നും ഇല്ല, ചുമ്മാ അത് ഓൺ ചെയ്ത് ഓക്കെ. You can do that.
ലൈവ് സ്ട്രീം സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ആണ്. ഇതൊക്കെ പുറത്ത് വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്.
We can give the link to somebody if they want, right? If they
yeah.
We can put on the group.
Yeah, sure.
I'll do that. Yeah.
ഞാൻ ഈ ലിങ്ക് തന്നെയുള്ള ഈ റെക്കോർഡിംഗ് ഇരുന്നോട്ടെ.
Okay.
It's fine.
Because last minute I don't want to make any changes.
Yeah.
ഏതാണ് ലിങ്ക്?
ലിങ്ക് ഞാൻ
അയച്ചു.
ഇതിൽ ടെലഗ്രാം ഉണ്ടോ?
No, don't send me an email because I don't have Google. This is a D-Google. It's Graphene.
Okay. Telegram എന്നാ പിന്നെ?
No, just tell me. Show me the link. I'll type it out.
Okay.
Oh, YouTube. Wait, I'll just type. I'll take a photo of it and send it to Ria, and she.
Wait, I can send it to your Telegram as well because
you can.
I have my mail, right?
Okay, you have your mail. Okay. Just send it to Ria. I don't use Google that much.
Okay.
Fortunately, joining that Google.
എല്ലാവരുടെയും പ്രൈവസി കോൺഷ്യസ് ടോക്സ് ഒക്കെ കേട്ടിട്ട് തീരുമാനമായത്.
Sugan sending this with the live stream. Sugan J. Oh, is it? Okay.
നെറ്റ്വർക്കിംഗ് ഈ ടൈം എപ്പോഴാന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ? നെറ്റ്വർക്കിങ്ങിന് ടൈം ഇല്ലേ?
അത് രണ്ട് ടോക്ക് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ബ്രേക്ക് അല്ല, ഈ ബ്രേക്ക് സെൻഡിങ് യു സുഗൻ സെൻഡിങ് യു ഇമെയിൽ അല്ലേ സുഗൻ അയക്കുന്നത്? ടെലിഗ്രാമിലാണോ? ഞാൻ ലൈവ് സ്ട്രീമിന്റെ ലൈവ് സ്ട്രീം സുഗൻ hello double trouble triple trouble what nice I came here. Sugar is the one who initially, so one of the earlier volunteers, initially what happened was we have got many people.
Second phase
Then Vishal told me, Mark, this is 2-1. Please come and do something.
Okay.
Do something.
ഇവിടെ ഉണ്ടാവില്ലെന്ന് അറിയാം.
Shamu is one of our new volunteers.
By the way, ഇതൊക്കെ ലൈവ് സ്ട്രീം ആട്ടോ. സോ
put it on the list. That's what towards the end I said I can't put more people on the list. Everybody. I don't think everyone will come. 50% or something. Around 50 people will come. The problem is that we should have written. Seventh floor, after seventh floor, you have to come up to the 10th floor. You take stairs or somebody will there's somebody waiting down, they can't find you by
Okay, I'll
Okay, so it's on the 10th floor, so maybe the lift only goes up to like 7 and then you take another lift. It's like, okay. Somebody's coming down, okay? Nobody's able to. Yeah, I was like setting this up, I couldn't see this and then I'm so sorry man, I was like,
ഒരു കോണ്ടാക്ട് നമ്പർ വെക്കണം പോസ്റ്റർ ഐ തിങ്ക് അതാകുമ്പോൾ വിളിക്കാമല്ലോ നേരിട്ട്. So we have live stream setup, camera, audience, slides വേറെ സ്പീക്കറിലായാലും കണ്ടിന്യൂ മതി. Live stream setup.
Can someone speak from the TV point? Can you hear us, Ria?
Yeah, that would be a good test.
No, she said she can hear us.
Oh, okay. ഇവിടുത്തെ മൈക്ക് മ്യൂട്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ട് അത് ഓൺ ആക്കിയോ?
Hello.
I cannot hear you now. Aditya. Live section, yeah. Live കാണാൻ live കാണാൻ no cameras. You can see camera here. Oh, Ria is saying is the camera off too also. So she's asking us. Yeah, something. No, she's saying her camera's also off. How was she able to see ourselves? Oh, through that. This work. So surprised to see it. You're not really here. Oh, okay. This is going to be
ശരിയാക്കാൻ സെറ്റിങ്സ് എടുത്തിട്ട് ഐ തിങ്ക് വീഡിയോ HD പെർഫോമൻസ് സെറ്റിങ്സ് ആണ്. പെർഫോമൻസ് സെറ്റിങ്സ് ഹൈസ്റ്റ് ക്വാളിറ്റി. സോ HD ആയിട്ട് പോകുന്നുണ്ട്.
Yes, it's I think we wait for some more time because you see people when you see channel, you see the solution, right? People are getting stuff. You started on 10.
Hope everyone settled down. Hi everyone. So welcome to the first meetup, the first KochiFOSS United meetup in Kerala, in Kochi. We are assembled here at Big Binary's office, and I'd like to thank them for providing us with this venue. Let's not get into too much of this area. Start with the first talk. I call upon Aditya to give us an introduction to self-hosting at home.
Okay, before this thing loads, my name is Aditya. I'll introduce myself later. But can I know by a show of hands who has self-hosted anything? It could be anything. Let's say some application of yours or anything on a server or on your hardware at home. Okay, that is okay. And more than I expect. Great.
Did anyone idea?
Input source.
One.
Right. Yeah, left.
The Android app.
Android team.
It's lag.
Google team. Should be able to see the news.
Live sensing is on.
Good. So, shall we start?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll be talking about self-hosting at home and how you can give life to your own hardware. Before we start, these are the things that I'll be discussing about today. So I think we'll split the session into 4 main topics. First is what is self-hosting and why you should self-host. Second is what can you self-host and where can you self-host, essentially. Third is important things to know before you start your self-hosting journey. And finally, we'll go through some famous tools and software which you can run on your own. So we'll discuss about alternatives to paid software, etc. A quick introduction to who I am. My name is Aditya. I currently work as an application developer at Shaker Energy, currently in my internship with it. I would like to say that I am a maker. I love to mess around with hardware, tinker with stuff, and like to see when things come alive. And also, I'm a self-proclaimed Jedi Master, so if any of you want to challenge me on that, be my guest. Let's start. Good. So, what is self-host? It's the word itself will describe what it is. It's essentially about taking control of your own software and hardware. So let's say that you want to run an application. Instead of having a third party run it for you or using a third party service, let's say, for example, Google Photos or Google Drive, you find a open source version of the software and you host it on your own server, which means that you own that server. It can either be your own hardware, it can either be your own laptop, it can be easy to instance on AWS or any machine running Linux essentially. So first question, why to self-host? Like I said, you take control of your own hardware and software. Essentially, you have control from the point you click on the application to the point where the request is sent to the server and back. You have entire control of the entire flow, which means you can configure it according to your need. Anything that you want, any customizations that you want, you can do with that application. Secondly, privacy. When you are hosting your own application on your own server, the data stays within that boundary, right? Because currently, let's say when you're using Google products or Facebook products, essentially your information is being stored in their servers, and you know the data is the new oil right now. So if privacy matters to you, that is another reason why you should definitely self-host. And these are other reasons why most people consider self-hosting. Is firstly, there is no vendor lock-in. So let's say that you are using a particular software. One day, company X decides to say, oh, okay, I'm going to make this paid, and I'm going to put this at an exorbitant rate. Now, literally, you don't have access to that. So let's say a company X shuts down, and your data is stored on their servers. Now your data is lost. You don't have control over that. So essentially, self-hosting can help you prevent you from getting locked into a particular vendor, and it can give you the freedom to have your data anywhere. Next thing is cost effectiveness. On the long run, if you see, most services are based on subscriptions, which means they charge you a monthly rate for using the services. And then if you have observed, those charges slowly go up. And once, let's say that you have been using the service for 2, 3, 4 years, then if the cumulative cost of utilization becomes much higher, and it is very unpredictable in the future as well. So when you are running your own instance, you can essentially run multiple services on a single container or single hardware, which means you are investing an initial amount of money into that hardware, but then you are using it for a long period of time. So over the long run, the cost is very less. And definitely, you learn a lot from self-hosting. You learn about Linux, you learn about how applications work, you learn about the network, you learn about system administration, etc. So we'll get into those topics later. Cool. So next question, what can you self-host? I'll give you, oh, wow, okay. That's a lot of things, right? So essentially, any software that can run on a Linux computer, not even Linux, even on a Windows server, you can self-host. Look at that. You have CRMs, you have data backup tools, you have the Jitsi Meet that Subin just put up right now. Even that can be hosted on your own server. We'll get into individual applications later, but I just want to put into perspective that anything can be self-hosted. It's not like if it's not a proprietary technology, then it can be self-hosted. This is what I'm self-hosting at home currently. So I have NAS, network attached storage. Essentially, it's just a hard disk connected to a Linux machine, so I can use it over the network. Fancy term. I use OpenMedia Vault for that. We'll get into all of these in detail, but I also run a media server. So I used, I probably shouldn't say this on camera, but I used to use, So I have a huge collection of movies that are laying around, and if I want to watch them from any place, then I can literally, even now, I can watch those movies which are sitting at my hard disk at home. So that's why the media server is there for. And I also run an ad blocker and a DNS server, which is run on the Raspberry Pi. So essentially, it's a network-wide ad blocking. There is no ads on any of the devices you can use it. Mailing a list manager. Credits to Kailash for making that open source. I run a list server to essentially send out bulk emails. And to manage all this, we have Portainer, which essentially gives you a GUI for accessing, starting, and stopping your containers, all the Docker management things. On the network side of things, I run Tailscale half the weekend so that I can access it securely from anywhere. And I also drive a car, so I have my phone as a dash cam. And to back up everything and ensure that everything, all my files are synced, all my photos are synced, I have an app called SMB Sync. So it essentially syncs everything to the server. Why I started self-hosting is essentially because there was a time when Google Photos used to be free. I think you remember. There's a time when you could have unlimited backups, and I did enjoy that time. And unfortunately, they made it late. So I was searching for an alternative to have my media backed up because I didn't want a single vendor to control my photos. So that's when I thought about, okay, what can you do about this? And that's when I came across Open Media Vault, and I had like a 15-year-old computer lying around, an old Pentium processor. So there was a 1 TB hard disk which was laying inside Sim3. Took that out. I also had a Raspberry Pi, which I bought, I think, 8 years ago for some random project which I never ended up using. So took the hard disk, bought a dock, put it together, and that's what I use for my photos and media backup. So essentially, Open Media Vault is running on the Raspberry Pi, and then SMB Sync just takes care of the automatic backup. So yeah, thanks to Google Photos, now I'm doing this presentation. Cool. So next question is, now we understood, okay, what all you can sell. Where can you host these on? I would like to say that we can split into two different categories. Today we'll be talking about your own hardware, but you can definitely host it on a cloud instance as well. So by your own hardware, I mean I'm repeating this again and again, any machine that can run Linux can literally run any of those previous softwares I mentioned. So old laptop, desktop, Raspberry Pi, you have an old Android phone lying around, you have an old server, anything you can use. Or you could, if you don't have an old hardware, then you can get a cloud VM spun up. You can have an EC2 instance, you can have a Google Compute Engine instance. I think EC2 offers you 1 year of free trial. So maybe if you want to just experiment with self-hosting first before you invest in the hardware, maybe you can try out a normal EC2 instance, and even after that, it's very cost effective. DigitalOcean droplets cost like $5, so you can try that out at a very cheap manner. But okay, so let's just get into the pitfalls of using either of these, and I'll give you the decision to what to go with. Essentially, if you are hosting your software applications on your own hardware, then the first problem is that if you don't have an inverter at home, there's a risk of power failure, which means the current goes, especially in Kochi, the current goes often, then you're screwed because you can't access your server anymore. Or someone just comes and turns off the Wi-Fi, boom, gone. Network stability, and also let's say you're running, you probably might be running a single hard disk without RAID or any backup or redundancy, which means that a hard disk failure could result in your entire data being lost. It's not backed up, it's not redundant. Or you could buy multiple hard disks, run them on a RAID, and then have that, but again, that increases the cost. And yeah, it's not idiot-proof or case-safe. So someone comes in, topples over your server, your hardware is gone. On the cloud side of things, you have the problem which we were trying to solve, essentially the problem of vendor locking. Let's say that you are going with any of these cloud providers, then technically you're trying to solve the problem of vendor locking, but you're anyway getting into that because you're essentially tied to one of these cloud providers. So once they decide to shut down or they decide to kill your instance, your data is gone unless you set up scripts to back it up to different places. So then your data is essentially stored in other servers, so privacy-centric people can. It might not be a good option for that. Security is also a risk since you are exposing your server to the internet. Again, security is also a risk there, but AWS and GCP ports are most often targeted. So security risk, and cost also, like I said earlier, the increasing cost over a long period of time can add up. So based on that, you guys make a decision which one you want to start with. But so like I said, this is my current setup. It's just a small Raspberry Pi connected to a hard disk, which is connected to an adapter. And funnily enough, the Raspberry Pi is like very old. It has a quad-core processor and barely has 1 GB of RAM. The OS itself takes around 200, 300 MB. There is a 1 TB Seagate hard drive, which is a 7200 RPM. I think it's almost going to fail because it's been a long time. Need to swap that out. And then the good thing about this setup is that when you're running it on a Raspberry Pi, it just uses 10 watts of power. Essentially, the power it takes to charge your phone for an hour, that's the same power that the Raspberry Pi uses. So let's see your.
What do you use for the hard drive connector?
Oh, there it's a SATA dock, SATA to USB 3.0 dock. So
and it takes 10 watts.
No, that takes around 12 watts. 12 watts.
So overall, you have to give about 20.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, now I have it as a 3.5 inch hard drive, right? If I were to have a 2.5 inch one, I don't need that external 12 volts to power the disk.
Probably you'd be better off with a solid state.
Solid state, yeah, exactly.
So you're actually powering the hard disk separately?
Yes, because it's a 3.5 inch one, it needs external power to spin up.
It's only data through the USB.
Yeah, data when it comes to USB. So, but yeah, SSD would be the ideal choice. But then again, I just had this lying around, I thought I just use it. So you're right. The power consumption will be greater if you're going with a 3.5 inch. SSD again, you'll have to buy, if you have an old Raspberry Pi, you'll have to buy an adapter for it to convert it into SATA and then plug it in. But yeah, that would be a better choice. So again, this probably takes around 10 watts plus 12 watts. And these are the things that I run on. And it runs 24/7. I haven't seen a major increase in my electricity bill for some reason. Not sure why. But this just runs on top of basically a rack. Okay, so now we got an intro of what self-hosting is, where it is. Now let's delve a bit deeper into the specifics, or what you need to know before you start self-hosting. I would like to divide this into 3 steps. First one is requirement, second one is network, third one is configuration. Good. So, requirement. Firstly, you need to decide what you need to self-host. Okay, what is my problem? What problem am I facing? What applications do I want to try self-hosting? What is my use case? Like I said, my primary use case was to have a media backup or photos and video backup. So that's why I got into self-hosting. Now you need to ask yourself, okay, what is one thing that I wish I had control over? Or what is one thing that I wish I had hosted by myself? And finally, after deciding that, before you go and invest into getting hardware or going to the cloud and buying a VM instance, you need to read through the documentation of that software first, so that you understand what it is, what all steps are required to install it, and what are requirements it has. So if you don't satisfy those requirements, then there's no point in going to the next step. And this is what I wrote to myself after a few trial and errors. You have to always read the hardware and document specification before installation.
When does it work? There was a short abbreviation for that word. We should call it RTFM.
RTFM, huh?
Read the fucking manual.
Right. Because most of us just delve into the. Yeah, I'll show you what exactly happened to mine. So I was trying to run a Nextcloud. So Nextcloud is essentially Nextcloud is essentially you can consider it like Google Drive on okay, how do I put this? You can consider it like Google Drive plus Gmail plus Photos plus Google Notes. So all this into self-hosted. Yes, self-hosted. Exactly. So all this put into a single binary is what Nextcloud is. And in the specification, it's written that the minimum requirement is 512 MB of RAM, and I thought that okay, 500 MB of free RAM should be enough. But the recommended requirement was around, I think, 1.5 to 2 gigs of RAM. So I started running that on my 8-year-old Raspberry Pi, the small one, 3B that you saw that. And this definitely didn't happen. So that's why if you go back, I had to bring in a small little thing here to keep things sane.
What do you do to control the heat? Are you using some kind of a heat sink?
Yeah, I have the heat sink with heat card taped onto the processor, and then I have a CPU fan running on top of
that.
Yes.
So all this is powered externally.
All this is powered by the Raspberry 7 thing. It's powered by the 10 watt. Yeah. Only the hard disk is powered by it. Yeah. So if you don't want this to happen, then you might want to read on the recommended specifications before you try and do things. But again, you only learn when you want stuff, when you actually fail. So that's the best way of learning. Now I know definitely not to do this. So that's about the hardware side of things. You can use a Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pis are very cheap by the way. Not currently, it was cheap like a year ago. Now there's a shortage running. So hopefully by the end of the chip shortage, you should get a Raspberry Pi at around, let's say, with a good one around 4 gigs of RAM, you'll get around 8K, 5 to 8K range, which is essentially cheaper than a smartphone. And you could literally run anything on it. So the 5 to 8K that you invest right now will last you for years. Okay. Second part of how you should what you should know before start hosting is the network side. There's no point in you hosting your own instance if you can't connect to it, or if you are just using it inside your own network. It's up to you. If you want to use it inside your own network, then it's completely up to you. Right. So I think this is a safe flow that I can talk about. You have the internet. You have your server. You have your server running inside your network, and let's say this is your router. So you have your server connected to your router via Wi-Fi or Ethernet. I would recommend Ethernet via Wi-Fi has some problems. It might drop off, or there might be backlog. So you have it connected. The router runs DHCP. You have it assigned in your DHCP binding. You have it assigned an IP address which is static. Inside your local network, it's static. You have that binding installed, and then you have your router connected to the internet. Now let's say that you are working from Canada, for example, and you want access, you want to watch movies on your server. You try to so then you set up an Nginx or Caddy or any web server here, or because you want to access some files or something, and then you also set up port forwarding. Because why you need to set up port forwarding is because any traffic that is directed inside to a specific port is blocked by the router by default. That's a security mechanism installed on the router. You need to go into your router settings and manually enable port forwarding. So whatever server whatever Nginx instance or Caddy instance you're running here, you need to forward 80 and I think 443, right? The SSL port. You need to forward that directly to this machine. So it will be wise to also set up a DNS instance here, so that the traffic that is not intended for your server is routed to your other devices. Okay, so essentially you port forward and then you try to access your server from Canada. I was getting to that. But unfortunately, you get an error saying, okay, server refused to connect. So what is the problem there? Dynamic IP. So what happens is that most of our connections are on a dynamic IP address. We don't have a static IP address. Our IP address changes very often. And this is because we have a very cost-effective one, for example. So when your IP address changes, let's say you're connecting to 10.14. Blah blah blah. 1 month later, that's no longer your IP address, right? So when you try to connect to that, it doesn't know where to go. So how you can solve this is either you can get a static IP address by talking to your ISP, or you can use something like dynamic DNS. So these are the dynamic DNS providers that are available. So that's Cloudflare, NoIP, and DuckDNS. I personally like to use Cloudflare. So what this does is essentially you have everyone knows DNS, so I'm not going to go into DNS. You have your DNS record set up on the Cloudflare server, and then you have a dynamic IP address client running on your machine, which essentially every time your local IP address changes, updates the record on your Cloudflare DNS instance. So this is done automatically, and DD client and DNS Somatic are instances which you can run on your router. Just it's a simple script that you can set up, and it will automatically update your IP address on Cloudflare. So let's say you buy a domain name, let's say arjankumar.works, for example. You just need to remember that Cloudflare takes care of first.
Is that paid?
Sorry?
Is that free or paid?
These are free. So Cloudflare DNS is completely free. So Cloudflare has paid versions of proxies. So let's say that you want to do caching, you want to do edge computing, then all those things are paid. But they do provide a free version of this. They do also provide free version of caching as well. So three, I think up to, I'm not sure what the limit is, but up to a certain limit, you can cache these files on the edge as well.
How fast is the DNS update? So if my local IP changes.
Cloudflare. I haven't tested
What is the TTL?
Sorry?
What is the TTL?
Time to live. Time to live is essentially it basically tells the DNS server how much time to wait for until it updates. So DNS-O-Matic or DB client, I think, updates every it set the polling rate in the config file. So it polls for your IP constantly, and according to the polling rate, it updates the Cloudflare. So it's up to you to set the configuration. But I don't know what the default values are. So we need to set that. I did start using this for a specific reason. I will come to that.
The other options, sir?
Sorry?
The other options, sir?
For
Other than third line?
there is no IP and DNS.
So, like, do you have an idea of what these services do? Like,
Right, it's the same thing. It's exactly like a DNS server. No IP, the difference is Cloudflare, you need to own your own domain. So Cloudflare won't work unless you have your own domain registered with the register. No IP and DNS provides you with a domain in the subnet. So you don't need to own a domain. You can just use one of their domains, which is free for unlimited usage. So let's say that you don't want to, you just want to try it out, you can just go with no IP or DNS and see if it works. So, but that will give you a random string, so you have to remember that, copy paste that, etc. So for the first time users, definitely. But if you're using it in the long run, I would recommend get a domain and host it on Cloudflare. It's much easier. And also, if you want, you can enable caching as well. So let's say you're hosting your own web page on your own server, and you want load times to be faster. Cloudflare takes care of the edge caching and all of that. So it's done for you. Right. So you set up all those, but most of you still won't be able to access the server. The second culprit here is CGNAT. So all the ISPs have something called a carrier grade network. Since it's a network address translator located on their pod, which assigns you the IP address. So they would have an IP address assigned to, let's say, 10 different computers or 10 different homes. So CGNAT takes care of where the packet should go once it receives it. The problem here is that I told you about port forwarding in your router, what you enable. Well, port forwarding also needs to be enabled on the CGNAT as well. But most ISPs won't let you do that unless you take that static connection. So how can we fix this? So yeah, this is the CGNAT. It comes before your router. You have no control over it. So either you talk to your ISP and have sent mails, tons of mails to them without any reply for a long time. So had to search for another alternative. So the solution I found, there might be a lot of other solutions, but the solution that worked for me and I found was either having a reverse SSH tunnel or having a reverse VPN tunnel. So I'll get into what that is shortly, but these are the providers that I have tried out. Local tunnel I haven't tried. So ngrok and local tunnel are a reverse SSH tunnel provider or HTTP. So I'll get into what that is. WireGuard and TSK, essentially WireGuard is VPN. It's an open VPN. So you can either configure WireGuard yourself, go through the configurations, have it set up, configure it yourself, or you can use Tailwind, which I can get. So a reverse SSH tunnel. Okay, let's just forget that this thing exists here. So a reverse SSH tunnel essentially, so you will have, instead of this, you will have AWS instance or GCP instance running with your whatever client does. Let's say ngrok or something, and then what it does is, so connections from inside can go outside, but connections from outside can't come inside, right? So what you will do is you'll create a tunnel from inside to the server, and then now since you have a connection established, the router doesn't really care about where all the data coming in because you have data connection. So you essentially establish a connection from inside to outside, then it creates a tunnel, and then you communicate with this coordination server. So that's how reverse assistant works. Tailscale, on the other hand, so how I found out Tailscale was essentially, I was going through this, I was trying to set a WireGuard. The same thing works with VK. I was trying to set a WireGuard, and unfortunately, the WireGuard configuration is very complicated, at least for me. So I googled around and I tried figuring out how to configure the reverse connection and couldn't find that out. So I came across a repo which had detailed explanation of all the flags and all the parameters used in the WireGuard configuration. Underneath that, there's a small link. So these things are taken from the document. So I said, okay, what is it? So let's click on it. I pondered upon this beautiful thing called Tailscale. It's a lifesaver. Essentially, Tailscale is I call it as a managed mesh VPN provider. So essentially, it's a VPN provider that you can self-host.
SDN. It's an SDN, software defined network.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Software defined network. So essentially, how Tailscale works is, like I said about the reverse SSH server, even for a VPN, you need to have a connection going from inside to outside. So what you do is you run a small Tailscale client on your server, and either you can use the Tailscale coordination server hosted on their network, or you can host your own, not Tailscale, it's called HScale, an open source version of Tailscale, on your AWS instance. So what this does is the Tailscale client essentially connects directly to the Tailscale coordination server, and it forms a mesh network. So any instance, so this coordination server is what you will be connecting to from your device outside. Essentially, it forms it manages all the connections. So you have your phone, you install Tailscale app, you connect to you log into your account, you connect to that account. It will show you a list of devices already connected to the Tailscale coordination server. You just click the IP of that device, you connect directly. Tailscale manages the server. You don't have to worry about what goes behind the scenes. Okay, so essentially that is what Tailscale does, and now you can enjoy your.
Like if you're using Tailscale, do we still need the dynamic DNS?
You don't need the dynamic DNS. Dynamic DNS is needed because we were trying to connect it directly to here. Now Tailscale manages all of that. You will get IP within the Tailscale subnet or HScale subnet. But you will need a dynamic DNS if you are hosting your own instance of Tailscale coordination server on EC2, which doesn't provide. Let's say if your IP changes, then you will need to set up a dynamic DNS. But
if you're getting an EC2 instance, that will have a static IP.
Right. Let's say that if it changes, then you need to run a DNS server there. But if you're using the Tailscale, then that's not necessary. Right. So it's very easy to set up. You do install and you sudo Tailscale up. The configurations are presets. You have a beautiful web-based interface to set up. So I'm not going to detail. But again, Tailscale is a lifesaver. For let's say that to answer your question, you want to. So the Tailscale client is open source. The Tailscale coordination server is unfortunately not open source. So let's say that you want to self-host that as well, then you can look up HScale. HScale is essentially a fork of the Tailscale coordination server. It is an open source server, so you can check that out. It's a bit tedious to set up. I haven't been able to set that up successfully yet, but there are a lot of configurations needed for that. So you can check that out as well. Cool. So now we covered the essentials of using the network. Right now, third-party configuration. I will go through some of the things that I have come across, and I'll also give you resources so that you can research about them more. So shall we do a small quiz? Yeah. Okay. Good. So I want you to guess what the self-hosted version is. Google right?
On cloud. On cloud.
On cloud. Okay. Let's go. Yes.
TP.
For the hacker terminology. Yeah, you have a next web. A lot of things. I'll just since I talk about next web, I'll just show how it looks like. So essentially, this is how the dashboard looks like. you have your files, you have your mail server, you set that up in the configuration. You can access it from anywhere. And these are the two commands that essentially run this entire thing. You just pull a Docker and you run the configuration. If you want to change the configuration, you change the configuration. If not, you just go with the standard Docker image. So that is one thing that I love about self-hosting now is that almost everything is Dockerized and everything probably has a Docker image. So either you just run a shell script which does the entire thing for you, or you just download the Docker image and run it. So that's where CodeCleaner comes in. I told you about CodeCleaner earlier. It's essentially GUI or web-based interface to manage these containers. And if you have a Docker compose setup, then it makes things much more easier because it's just the compose file that you have to edit. Coming to the next, I'm talking. Firewall. Any block. That is
uBlock.
uBlock is.
That's
the things I use are AdGuard and Firewall. So again, Firewall, simple command, one-time install. AdGuard, if you put a complicated command and again, one step install. So good thing about this is you can install it on your whatever device and it will block ads across the entire network. So if you configure it properly, you add the correct ad list, add the correct IP blockers. Any device you take, it blocks ads. So any device connected to the Wi-Fi network, it blocks ad on that. So you don't have to go manually install Chrome extensions on all devices. You don't have to manually worry about someone getting some ad, let's say your mom or someone else using a phone, suddenly pop up. You don't have to worry about any of that. This takes care of that across the entire. Exactly. They might click on that.
They won't know whether it's an ad or.
Exactly. A lot of things like this has happened before. So phishing attacks and all happen a lot. So this is the first one.
Do it and configure it on router level.
Exactly. You don't need to worry about it. You configure it, you're all set. Even the configuration. No.
You just need to check the DNS to your local IP. So let's say on network 0.02, in the DNS on your router, change that.
Yeah, but again, it's routing to your
So yeah, you need to have to do that. You need to have a server running Firewall. But yeah, OpenWRT, I'm not sure if you can. It supports Firewall or not. I have not checked. If you have OpenWRT running on your router, you might have a problem.
You can actually do it on your maybe if your laptop is always on, you can do it on.
Yeah. But power is again
The main problem is that my parents sometimes switch to mobile data and everything comes.
so.
There's no point.
That's it. You can solve that by installing KSQL. You can directly connect it to your network, even if it's on mobile data. Have the VPN. Yeah, there you have something called
That's like opening a VPN. So then the power consumption
of your phone. Right. That's a trade-off.
So that's the
That's a trade-off you're making for. But everything comes with the cost.
90% of the time, it was around Wi-Fi. It works without doing anything on their phone. Like even if they change the phone or bring a new phone.
Yeah. But if you said the VPN, if you choose VPN, then the problem is that the tagging has moved out. Most of the tagging has been.
Yeah. So that's true. But since ASQL, it's not like you are connecting to an instance outside.
No, it's like the mobile app is important.
What I
It's only
said.
load up. I cannot tell my parents like, okay, you have to close this app. Restart.
No, if you trust them,
Yeah.
doing banking, then you can't actually.
Good. So, shall we move on? So this is not an answer. Obviously. Yes, let's go. So, you do it. Great. So, It's not an apples to apples comparison because you can't get the content. Because self-hosted, you have to already have the content in your hand. I won't tell you which method to use the game. But yes, you can use Jellyfin. This is the open source version of Flex. Yeah, I used to use Flex a long time back.
There used to be Flex an open source version of something else. I forgot the other name.
Oh yeah. It's a fork of something else.
Yeah. That is a open source version of Flex.
Flex, yes.
This is a fork.
Fork.
They get baby. They added proprietary weight. So
Right.
this was called
Flex. Flex. So I shifted to Jellyfin was not. I couldn't. After a while, I couldn't use the Flex server on my mobile phone. They made that feature where that's why I shifted to Jellyfin.
Can you like search for movies directly in Jellyfin?
No, you can.
See, this is basically you have a folder of movies, documentaries, everything, or even music. You just point that in Jellyfin. It will fetch all the metadata, like cast information, cover thing, and all these sort of things, and it will show you to an interface like that.
And videos.
That's it.
I think the thing is popcorn time, right? That's all.
Oh, popcorn is like it's a current
That is illegal. This doesn't host anything.
We can configure Flex to do torrenting also in the background so that if you search a movie, it will download it in the background. And
Like when you need to give the manual manually.
yeah, I'm not sure. Like I thought
Right, that is possible.
Yeah, it will stream it from the series. So if you fetch the data from the series and it will stream it across. That's how
Yeah.
the popcorn time.
Yeah, popcorn. Even I think another alternative to popcorn time is Trem.io. That's what I used it. You know, right?
And there's another one called XPMC. So it's a really old one, but that you can.
Yeah, also Cody.
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 XPMC or
media clients.
Yeah, but like the Jellyfin and Flex have a much better UI compared to all others. That's why.
Yeah.
They also have Android apps.
Yeah.
I guess Jellyfin also has the what's it Steam Deck, no?
Steam Deck.
Steam Deck app and Switch also. You can literally watch anything on that.
One question, like subtitles. I like usually we have a subtitle separate file, right? So how does that work?
No, so like, it's from the UI.
Yes.
You can fetch it from, so in the UI itself, we have an option to fetch. We can search the subtitle from the UI, so that we use an option to find. If you have any file, you can upload. Otherwise, you press on the online and you can download it from the UI itself.
I think yeah, that site has been very buggy for us.
But it
Actually scans your folder, right? At that time it detects if there was a sub file, it will attach to the movie.
If not, then you can give your custom servers like
Yeah, I don't know the servers.
Our discussion is moving into piracy.
I can download Jellyfin right now, so you can check out for yourself.
We do that with the live stream. Or YouTube will give a copyright strike as well.
Your channel. Okay, Google Photos. This is my primary reason of jumping into this.
Photos.
Yes. Photos. One thing feature of different movie photos is AI face recognition.
Yeah.
Let's say I wanna send someone's photo. I assume that again in the photos app, search their face, it pops up, right? So Photo Prism has that feature as well, and it's very well organized. So Photo Prism's AI detection feature runs on faces, text, etc. So that's mainly one main advantage, but it requires a lot of resources to run this and catalog your faces, which is not. So again, you can run it on an Raspberry Pi 4. You can even run it on 3D Plus, but again, you have to
really running on PhD. Really running on PhD.
Yeah.
Nextcloud is also PhD.
Yeah.
And Nextcloud is also adding second support. I have said.
Yeah, next but again, I think Nextcloud is very buggy with the face recognition part. You can barely install it on 3 because again you could pass a lot of even Photo Prism, I think The minimum requirement is 2.5 inches of RAM.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah. I tried running this on my 3, and you remember the previous Fire? Yeah, that was going to
also
happen.
there's like a service for like NJ. I don't have it. Anyone?
Sorry?
NT.io. It's a Malayali startup.
Malayali startup.
Oh, ENT.io. NT.io.
Yeah, but literally NJ.
So what is
And they're open source, right?
Yeah, open source. So it's like Google Photos like service. You have to pay, but it's like they have everything like that. Kind of are open source, and also they also make sure that like it is encrypted in from the device itself, not like encrypted from the server. So the images are encrypted from the device. Also, their UI and app is really good. Like it's almost similar to the Google Photos.
So that stack is completely open source, but they provide that other
Yes.
It's been running for 2-3 years now.
Yeah. Also, they have like redundancy and all everything. Like they have pre-location redundancy and encryption as well. So yeah, everything's set. So yeah, that's like a better alternative service to Google Photos.
Google
If you
Photos.
want like a service.
I haven't come across this. It's from Java, is it?
Yeah.
Malayalis. And
Yes.
I don't think they're limited together, but
Ah. Okay. Yes. That's how. GitLab. Yes.
just be.
Yeah, I have to find out, so I can't count on this part of again, single command to download, and then you install the binary. So easy. Notion. Joplin, yes. Okay. I couldn't get myself to set up Joplin properly, so I didn't include myself.
Yeah. Don't THC file.
Going bad. Hey, even Markdown works on Notion. So, yeah, so I have only tried out Aseen, and I think based on my limited grouping, there's Joplin, there's Logsec, there's TiddlyWiki. I think TiddlyWiki the UI is very primitive, so it kind of doesn't, it's not that, the UX is also kind of buggy. But I have tried out Aseen, and only problem, it's very hard to get that up and running. You need, so it's very hard to do that, but once you get that up, it has a very beautiful UI, it has a very beautiful interface. You can literally do the same thing that you do in Notion here, also tables and everything. So that's for yeah. You can find out more tools at this amazing repo called awesome self-hosted. That's an index. Definitely don't scroll too much now. You won't get to the end. Please use the index at the top so that you can exactly know what you want to self-host. And for the resources, you can check out Mount Kulka self-hosting or not. That's a very beginner-friendly course on self-hosting. And then my favorite resource I usually check out is Network's YouTube channel. He kind of puts it in very layman terms all about the network, about how we can set it up on your Raspberry Pi, etc. And then there's also this GitHub repo that I found out recently, which essentially has a written format tutorial. So you can check that out as well. Okay, so I'll give you a small bonus for being such an amazing audience. So you're talking about server, Raspberry Pi, or something. So you might have an old phone or some Android device lying around in your home, maybe 5-6 years old. So how can you repurpose them? The ways I try to repurpose them is using it as a dashcam, a webcam, and also keyboard and mouse. So there's an app called Roy Dashcam. There's an open version of that called Open Dashcam, but features are kind of less. So what I do is, on my phone, I have a 10 GB size limit set. So every 10 GB, it overrides the footage, the last footage. I usually have my phone as Google Maps runs on it all the time when I'm driving, and music also runs on it. So what I do is, since I always play music when I'm driving, there's a watcher in the app which you can set to start recording on a particular trigger. And my trigger that I've set is when I plug in the aux cable, it should start recording, and when I plug out the aux cable, it should stop recording. So essentially, I get in the car, I plug this in, it starts recording. I drive, something happens, I know that the footage is and I can rely on. You can also send that out. You can also detect accidents. You can also you can send such a sensitivity to auto alert whomever you want to attack. Also, location and everything is automatically laid on top of the video. So if you use your phone while driving, then you can also be more safe by using the right dash camera. Yeah, you can also use your phone for back camera as insanely high quality webcam. So you can either use Android IP camera. There are tons of software for it, tons and tons of software. So usually when I do Google Meet, this camera is fine, but my old camera is very fast. So I used to have literally a phone mount stuck to my wall, and then I used to keep my phone just run something.
It's coming as default feature in Android 14.
Android 14, yes. So that's a really good thing. I think Apple kind of made it do that. So iPhone users already have this by default, so you don't need to worry about that. And then you can use KD connect on your phone to essentially, if you have on your smartphone as well, you can send that notifications and everything to essentially have it synced with your laptop. Or you can use that as a virtual mouse and keyboard. So you can use it as a trackpad, you can use a smart keyboard. If your keyboard is not working, your trackpad is not working, you can use your old smartphone as a trackpad.
And you can use that mic. I'm using it as
Mic,
literally change your audio.
Oh, great. I have it. Oh,
I use because I don't have a headphone with mic. So when I have to use a resistive fan to cool the system. So I can't use the internet microphone. So I use my phone as the mic.
So how do you set it up?
It's like I use an app called Walk.
Okay.
So we have wireless, like Wi-Fi to Wi-Fi, it's got Bluetooth and got Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay.
No question. Like in 3 ways we can connect and use that mic. And also the audio quality is really good.
It has noise cancellation.
Noise cancellation, no, but like the thing is, we are using the built mic, or you can say they use keep which mic you want. Like, if you have, if you want like the bottom mic, you can use that. But the thing is, there's a really difference between the laptop mic and phone mic. So I really experienced that. Almost like a condenser mic.
Oh wow. I think that will be very useful for people who do live streams.
Yes.
Yeah, here, start. So, yes, so that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Aditya, for that insightful talk. Next, we have Mufi, who will be talking about the hearing of OSS 1CV at a time.
Slide ഇതൊക്കെ ഉള്ള തന്നെയാണ് അനാർട്ടിക്കലായിട്ടുള്ള പ്രസന്റേഷൻ